presented by eDragonTees.com, the premier company for your t-shirts, your banners, hats, flyers, embroidery, web design, and yes, even your koozies for your beverages. Online at eDragonTees.com. That's eDragon, Tees.com. Ready? I love it when you have three major coaches in here.
Love that.
I have to say that.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Jen?
Hello.
Hello?
Check.
I got Mac over here. So I got three of the coaches. This is the coaches show, as I'm calling it. The coaches, all coaches. I'm glad I'm awake. An hour ago, I was passed out on the couch, but that's all right.
I was sleeping in your parking lot.
You were sleeping. That's all that training.
Yeah. I was wore out today. I had to get a nap.
It's amazing. So I've got Gary Brimmer, GaryBrimmer.com. Okay, this is very, very important. You remember these websites because this is what the trivia questions are going to be to get you that Dragon's Half entry.
Nice.
The Oil Man 70.3 entry. And, of course, the Strongest Mile Seminar on Saturday entry. 3 incredible entries are given away because we have the 3 of the greatest coaches, not only in San Antonio, but the world, sitting right here.
How big your world is.
I even put Gary out there at Sunday at the race. I was like, that's Gary Brimmer over there at GaryBrimmer.com. But I was just saying, did you catch that?
Yeah.
And someone was like, oh, he's probably kidding. I'm like, no, that's really his website, GaryBrimmer.com.
Did y'all selfie it? Did
No.
y'all take a
No,
picture?
I know we sure did. We selfied it.
You selfied it.
No, hold on. Let me do the introductions, and we're going to get to something funny that Gary did to me. But, of course, all the music, this show is going to be Swimming with Bears. You can find him online at Swimming with Bears. Follow him on Twitter at Swim with Bears. Of course, I got Coach Gary Brimmer, GaryBrimmer.com. Remember the websites again for the winning. And I've got Coach Jen Rulon. It's JenRulon.com. Amazing triathlete, I'll say. And, of course, the other amazing triathlete is Gary does not swim even with the arm floaties. Nope. I've got Coach Mac Williams in here from San Antonio Triathlete.com. And no, Gary, you can't write down the websites. Again, GaryBrimmer.com, JenRulon.com, San Antonio Triathlete.com.
Easy.
Write those down because here in about 30 minutes we're going to ask you what are those websites, and you can win a Dragon's Half relay or 2-mile entry, or the Strong Mile Seminar entry, or the Oil Man 70.3 entry.
Now, is Don Lasoli qualify for anything?
Don Lasoli actually won the Oil Man, but he's going to be at a USA cycling camp in Colorado Springs, so he can't do it. So we deferred him till next year, so we have that entry open for this year.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty cool. So what happened on Sunday, I'm going to go back to this real quick before we get into all the cool things we're going to talk about. What happened on Sunday is Gary walks up. He has runners that are running. One of his athletes is a doctor from Fort Sam, runs for the Army team. He was there. We're sitting there talking and everything. One of his runners comes up. Gary yells at him because the guy wasn't running faster than he was supposed to be, which I was like, wow, man, Gary's tough. But it was just one of those things. And then a friend of ours, a young lady, walks over to Cupcake and goes, oh, here, Mark. And she walks off one. I'm like, oh, man, I can't eat this. One, my coach is standing right next to me. And Gary's like, go ahead, take a bite. And he took a picture of me holding the cupcake, which went on Facebook. And then he took a selfie of us because he was trying to teach me how to use Instagram because I have an Instagram account, but I never use it. Yeah. I never used it.
So the old guy showed the young guy how to use Instagram.
Whatever. But again, this is Mark with iSpeakForYou.net. Your shows, your topics, your music. I Speak For You. Swim Bears, again, our musical selection. I've got the coaches of all coaches on here. Again, the giveaways we're giving away: the Dragons Den half marathon relay and 2 mile, the strongest mile seminar with Coach Jen Rulon, and Oilman 70.3. Of course, this weekend, if you're you should be going to the strongest mile seminar, but if you're not going to be able to make that, the San Antonio Roadrunners Ladies 5K in Elmo Heights is on Saturday. Also coming up on next Saturday, July 26th, from 11:30 to 12:30, nutrition clinic at Bike World 1604. They're also doing a 35, 50-mile ride, wheels down at 7:30. More information, of course, go by Bike World over there at 1604 or downtown location. They'll have more information for you. The fitness kits is going to be there. I know Don Lasoli is going to be there. All kinds of good things. And for those speed demons who ride bicycles, who want to get their triathlon training in or their cycling training in, Britain's Bicycle Shop put on a time trial Saturday, August 9th. More information, BritainBikes.com. But
That's
of course,
a good way to test your hour.
Yeah, because you can sit there and go, I can go fast on my trainer, but until you get on the road and actually fight the wind and the hills and the ladybugs and all that stuff, then you really will never know.
It's a pretty flat course out there.
Is it?
Yeah, out at Castroville.
Yeah, because they start out at the gym right there, right? Yep. Yeah, yeah. So it's a good one.
If you have a power meter, then that really tests you where your power's at for your FTP. Functional threshold power.
See, it's big words. I remember LSD.
She's not Jen Rulon for anything.
I know. That's right. She's not the Jen Rulon for anything. I remember LSD. We're running in Hawaii, and I used to ask my dad, I go, what are we doing? We're doing LSD today. And I was like, Dad, that's an illicit drug. I think I'll get in trouble. And I think you will too. And he goes, no, long, slow distance, which I know we all four of us are familiar with. Gary does that every day, long, slow distance, because he's a long, slow guy.
Sometimes short, slow distance.
And sometimes short, very fast distance.
Not very. I don't know if you would describe what I do as very fast anymore.
Yeah, right.
Please.
You're running some 25Ks. You're fast. And you're old, too. What are you, in your 40s?
Yeah, I'm in my 40s.
Yeah, okay. Gary, of course.
Almost not in my 40s anymore.
Oh. So you're in the new age group.
Well, I'll be in a new age group in about 7 months.
Oh,
wow.
We're in trouble. So some of the topics we're going to talk about, obviously the coaches can do a round robin. We want to act like the microphone's here and they can talk about what they want. One of the things we want to talk about, I've had questions come in, is seasickness from swim, because we have a mutual friend that was doing an Ironman or 70.3, got seasick during the swim, had a hold up for a little bit, backstroke and everything, and then it affected him the whole way. Nipple bleeding, Gary's favorite. Shoes and socks. He had that last week.
Yes, my God, I forgot my Band-Aids.
I saw you in the photo.
It was. We were done. They were like, "Coach, you're bleeding," and I'm like looking on my leg or whatever because we ran through Cibolo Park, and they go, "No, your shirt," and I'm like, "Oh." I felt like a. Yeah,
I can't.
It was nasty.
And we've talked about this a lot. I can't go through announcing a distance race. I mean, obviously 70.3 or an Ironman or a marathon or anything, but people don't come in where they don't, guys now, because girls obviously are protected, I hope. But guys coming in with nipple bleeding. I have seen one girl, but she wasn't wearing anything underneath. So
I've seen a guy with Band-Aids before the race without a shirt on.
Did he run like that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Oh, wow.
Gary's like, stop talking about me right now. So of course we're going to talk about socks and shoes for heat running, because obviously it's very hot right now in South Texas. Is there a big difference between what socks you should be wearing now versus what you should be wearing in December, January? Ooh. That was a question that popped up to me. And nutrition for off season, does it really matter, or can you just eat whatever you want? Because we talked about that, I think, a couple weeks ago, that, hey, you can just eat and eat and eat clean, and then if you eat something dirty, your body's going to be like, what are you going to do? Trail etiquette and swim etiquette.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
So those are a couple of questions that popped up. But, of course, we're going to start it off. Gary, of course, introduce yourself, and we'll do a round table right now. Go ahead.
I'm Gary Brimmer. I'm a local private coach in San Antonio on the northwest side. Near the Bandera 1604 area. Coach a bunch of local area adults, and I have a couple high school kids that I'm a private coach of as well. Retired Army, travel the country throughout the year at all the expos. Yeah, that's me.
That's me. Very nice. Jen?
I am Jen Rulon with JenRulon.com, local triathlon coach. Also have a strength and conditioning coach or strength and conditioning endurance program called the Strongest Mile, And I'm very passionate about it because I really feel like that is a good way for athletes to become stronger, faster, go farther. Let's see, what else? I just did Ironman Coeur d'Alene. 2.5, thank you.
Totally flat.
2.5 weeks ago. And then on my books, I got Ironman Florida this year. So 2 in 1 year.
What is wrong with you?
Hashtag BAM. Right, Mac?
MF.
That's right. Hashtag MF.
Bam F.
Yeah.
But yes, that's right.
Anyways.
And Mac,
What?
who are you?
I'm Mac Williams.
I love Mac. Mac's
Yeah.
like, you should try to lead
Like,
Mac.
do
in.
what?
He's like, what? Oh, yeah.
I'm just a good old country boy that likes triathlon, and but I'm also a triathlon coach, SanAntonioTriathlete.com. Also certified swim coach. Have a Wednesday night group that swim coach. So I like Jen. She likes focusing on the strength side of things. I like focusing on the swim side of things, and also certified track and field. So head cross country coach out at Bernie High. So just living life, enjoying
Nice.
my summer off.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lets me do cool things like this.
And it's something we talked about before we actually started. And I'm going to let you guys do your round robin because, folks, when we turn the mics off when we're at commercials, that's when the real good stuff comes up. I mean, it's not adult related or anything, but that's when a lot of the education between the coaches start going back and forth. But one of the things we talked about was child runners, child athletes. Like there's some coaches out there that push them and push them and push them and push them, and then they go away. You never see this athlete. You don't know if they're going to be the next superstar or whatever. But then you have these athletes that are out there running. The coaches are great. I know you guys, all three of y'all are. You wouldn't be sitting here. That motivate and inspire your young athletes. Now, how does that affect you when you have a child that's come to you from a bad coach per se? How does that? And we're going to go around the table. How does that affect your coaching of that child?
I don't do anything different. One thing I won't do is I won't badmouth the coach, the former coach, in front of the kid. Me and the parent may discuss maybe some irregularities with the coach. That's where I get a lot of my high school kids. The parent feels the kid's in a subpar situation, and I've seen it. I mean, I've had high school kids that were severely underdeveloped, and the coach just wasn't developing the child right. And then I've also seen it on the other side where the coach is doing nothing wrong and the parent just thinks their kid is the next greatest thing. And so that's kind of a slippery road to go down. You got to be careful. I've turned parents away and told them your kid's in great hands. You just need to kind of sit back, shut up, and let the kid run. I don't badmouth the coach in front of the kids at all. In fact, I tell my kids that I have 4 or 5 kids that I coach during the season, and we have a strong relationship with that high school coach. And I always tell them, the high school coach, we defer to that high school coach on everything running related, unless I have a local high school coach who she gives me complete access and control to right now I have 3 kids from that high school, and I'll have a 4th one this year. She's absolutely fine with it. Of course, I've given her 5 state champions in the last 2 years. 5 state championships? Yeah, 5 state champions last 2 years. So she's good with it. So
I run for you, and I'm not a state champion. So I'm pretty. But no, it's one of those things though. You talked about you've had to turn parents away.
Yes.
And we've all seen those parents that are like, oh my, and I'm talking old school here because the name popped up to me. My child is the next, Edwin Moses. My child's the next Mary Decker Slaney. My child's the next Frank Shorter. No, your child's not.
No.
But then, and how do you? And we're going to go to Jen with this question. How do you tell that parent? I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're supporting your young athlete, but I don't see it happening.
I honestly don't coach a lot of kids. I see that a lot with adults too,
Right.
going from one coach to another. I do see that with adults. But I think with parents, I think you just
Which in
have
triathlon,
to.
the adults act like kids anyway. So
True.
You do
So
coach
true.
kids.
True.
So.
But I think
Oh.
with parents, I think you just have to train. I don't know. I don't concentrate on the parents. I'm not coaching them. I'm coaching the kid.
I'm
Yeah.
coaching the parents too.
But like I said, I don't coach a lot of kids.
Right.
So,
The folks that have come to you, like Max swim last night at UTSA, those folks, they're a little bit older in age. Like I said, they're not kids, but they know.
Yeah.
They probably have already done 1 or 2 events, and they're like, okay, we need to go faster. So, Mac, what do you think?
On the kid front, in the swimming, when I was coaching Capelli for Northside for their club team, parents were always wanting to kind of have their hand in what was going on, thinking their kid was the next, Phelps or things like that. But, the thing about it is I think parents don't understand is that, it's just not a physical aspect of it. The kid's got to be there mentally too. That kid has to be willing to get up at 5 a.m. to do the swim practice 2-a-days and actually thrive on that. You know what I mean? Rather than just being able to be fast, you mentally have to be able to accept that responsibility too and be consistent and train 2-a-days from now. If they're wanting to be Olympic level athletes rather, they're going to be doing that for the next 10, 12 years, just not for 1-2 seasons until the kid's, 14 or 15 years old. It's a process.
Yeah, the kids have to be invested in it as well.
Oh, absolutely. The kid, that's great. Your kid's fast, but where are they going to be in 3 years? Are they going to be burnt out?
And you both said something that's why I took notes down. You talked about, the adults. Well, I'll come back to the adults. Talk about the kids. One of the things you have to do with the kids, and I find, trying to figure out a way how to say this without.
Here goes the political.
Go ahead and make them mad.
No, I don't want to. Got a young man who's very, very talented, sophomore, very talented. And he came to me mid-season this year, and what I had to do was finally tell Dad, put the watch away. I have the watch. I have the watch. You go sit in the stands.
Nice.
I'm coaching. You're writing me a check to coach your son. Let me coach your son. And he wasn't happy about it. There was a reason why, and I won't say why. We'll go offline, and you all both. Yeah,
but the thing about we're not to cut you off real quick, but the thing about that is he's a sophomore.
Right.
He's got years.
And
of
here's the
development.
thing: Dad, when the first email came, Dad gave me where he's at, and Dad's been coaching the kid forever.
Yeah, here we go.
And then here's the goals, and the goals were spot on, very good progressive goals. But he wanted to be right on be involved. But no, that's not what we do. So it's worked out very well. I found that I have with the adults going from coach to coach to coach, and I see this. I see this a lot, especially women who want to hit the trials, men who want to hit the trials, men and women that want to qualify for Boston, and it's an audacious goal. All of those are all audacious goals. Olympic trials is a tremendously audacious goals, and I've never once told a guy or a girl that they could hit a trials qualifier, because I'll come out and tell someone, yeah, you can hit a trials qualifier. I told someone 7 years before she hit a trials qualifier, she could hit a trials qualifier. And she did. But there's coaches. First of all, there's athletes that that start progressing. They'll start out as a 3:30 marathoner, which in itself is good. It's a good time. On the grand scheme of things, not good.
Right.
It's just good.
Right.
It's better than average.
Right.
And then they start progressing down. And we'll use women for an example, just because I have more women that I coach to the trials. I've never.
Well, because there's more women athletes than there are guy athletes.
61%. There's more 61% marathoner, half marathoners in the female field.
I have more females in my cross country team than males.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find is they start getting down to that 307, and they got to do some work to get under 315, and then they should start thinking sub 3. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they make the switch to, I'm going to qualify for the trials. And I know a young lady she interviewed me to coach her, and we didn't work together, didn't start working together. But she, in the 2 years, she's been to 5 coaches.
Wow.
And no one, somewhere along the line, a coach is not sitting her down and giving her an audacious but realistic plan on how to get there. You have to have a plan for everything. You plan, do, check, adjust. And that's what I tell my kids and my adults every day. Plan, do, check, adjust. Make the plan. That's my job. And then I'll check the results of the plan as you're doing the plan, and then I'm going to readjust it. Mm-hmm. And once they get it, that's simple. That's so simple. That's all it is. And but somewhere along the line, sometimes coaches aren't telling their athletes. They're not being honest with them. In fact, they're in my opinion, they're being dishonest if they're not telling them realistic goals and just telling them, you can't just you can get to the trials, but but you got to, it's progression.
Yeah,
like
that's where you
the
get some athletes.
Kona.
Yeah, I know there's just some athletes that go, well, I don't like what this coach is telling me, so I'll go to
Yep.
the coach that's going to tell me
Yeah.
the flowery stuff.
Yep.
And that's what happens when you get 5 coaches within,
Yep.
6 months.
I'd rather coach a kid or an athlete for free than have them pay me to have me lie to them. Have them coach them for free, have them and be honest with them, than have them pay me and lie to them.
One thing you talked about the coach doing the flowery stuff. The thing about it is the coach can blow that smoke for so long, but there's also going to be a point where the athlete's going to realize this coach isn't getting me there either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they are
Right,
being
right.
so you've got to be like what Coach Brimmer was saying. This is your goal. These are the numbers to get you there. So I think as athletes mature, whether either age groupers or with what Coach Brimmer's doing, there's going to be a point where that athlete realizes something's not changing here.
Right.
So
Well, and I saw that at Texas State last week where there were young athletes. I talked about Alpha Line where there was a coach. He's been coaching these girls, so they're 8, 9 years old, 4x100 runners. They're 17, 18, and they were focused. I mean, they were dialed in. He goes, all 4 of these girls have scholarships to the same school, to run for the same school. So they had that plan already. He goes, we've had this plan in focus since they were 10. He goes, because I knew the talent these girls had. He goes, and have I coached college before? Yeah, I've worked at a college. I was a college coach, but these are my future Olympians. He goes, but the thing is, he goes, you look out here now, and you have other 17, 18-year-old girl teams that are warming up, and they're playing around, they're lollygagging. He goes, you look at them, then look at my girls. My girls focused to the point, know what they're doing. And I go, yeah, but that comes from the coach, though. He goes, their coaches they're not telling them, hey, get focused and rile on.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with kids going to summer track and playing around having fun.
No.
At all.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just
about having
running.
fun.
It's about
You
having
have to
fun.
have fun.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, most of the time, and Coach, you'll know this, summer programs aren't what get kids their scholarship. It's what they do at the state track meet, state cross country meet, in the bigger meets during the season.
Yeah.
Working with high school kids, that college coaches want to know what'd you run? Did you go to state? Did you run at Foot Locker, Nike South? And what'd you run for 2 mile? What'd you run for?
Oh, it was incredible
That's
how
right.
many recruiters were at it was a USA Track and Field Junior Olympic Regional Championships. It was a qualifier for Nationals, which is in 2 weeks, or next week, actually. But it was amazing walking through the stands and seeing all the polos with the OSU and Stanford and all the different college recruiters.
Go to New Balance indoors.
Oh, it's nuts. Oh, I know. You got a whole
yeah.
bleacher section.
Go to New Balance indoors.
Yeah.
And then you got parents and coaches, running interference all day long.
And we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to get into our topics. Can you get seasickness from swimming? Michelle could testify to that. And, of course, this is the Coach's Hour. Coach Brimmer, Coach Rulon, Coach Williams. We'll be right back.
You seasick on
Thursdays, Races and Events is presented by eDragonTees.com, the premier company for your T-shirts, your banners, hats, flyers, embroidery, web design, and yes, even your koozies for your beverages. Online at eDragonTees.com. That's eDragon, TEES.com.
Were you aware? Texas has a law that commercial vehicles, when passing a road user such as a cyclist, runner, or walker, must obey a 6 feet distance between said vehicle and the road user. Texas also has a law that all vehicles, when passing a road user, must obey a 3 feet distance. Can you see me now? 3 feet, 6 feet. It's the law.
Glimmer Gear, increase your visibility. Be seen by motorists up to a quarter mile away. LED-equipped, state-of-the-art sports apparel designed to offer you comfort and safety while you exercise, train, and explore the outdoors. Visit Glimmer Gear today. Enter the promo code ISpeakForYou and get 25% off. That's glimmergear.com or give them a call at 619-299-GEAR. This segment brought to you by SanAntonioTriathlete.com for all your training, rankings, race, news, swimming and cycling safety, even wetsuit rentals. SanAntonioTriathlete.com.
I had caused some pain, but baby girl, it was you who brought the fight.
here we go. Here we go.
It's getting deep.
Swimming with Bears musical selection. Of course, you heard the commercials. 3-foot law in Texas for private vehicles. You must stay 3 foot between pedestrian, cyclist, runner, and your vehicle. Make sure that happens. And a commercial vehicle, if you're driving a commercial vehicle, that's right, it's 6 feet between you, the pedestrian, cyclist, or runner. And of course, we did the Glimmer gear, the brightest in safety. You can see you have a quarter-mile away. Those arm sleeves are not arm warmers. They are actually arm sleeves, and they'll keep the sun off you and keep the melanoma down. And, of course, this segment brought to you by SanAntonioTriathlete.com.
Thank you.
Nice.
Very nice. So we were just talking about seasickness in the water. Gary talking about how he gets seasick taking a shower or playing with his rubber ducky in the bathtub. But seasickness from swimming, can you get that?
Yes, you can, from what I've heard. It's never happened to me.
Yeah, it's never happened to me either.
Because y'all go too fast.
No.
Jen goes too fast.
No. I've never seen. I mean, I've gotten dizzy because of the coldness of the water, like the equilibrium, like that might be a little off. But
Right.
What about if the conditions, it was a little choppy?
Ironman Florida was just like swells, but I didn't get nauseous there. I could see that happening to people
Because of the swells?
because of the
Because
swells.
you get the inner ears. You're doing this if you're trying not if you're not focusing on
Yeah,
your inner
Because
ear.
I could see that.
but yeah, I've never.
Because you wouldn't be able to have that constant. I guess they say when you get seasick, you're supposed to look at the
Look at
land.
the
I guess
horizon, look at-
so
yeah.
that would make sense.
Yeah, going out would be tough, but then coming back, you could look at all the buildings in Florida.
Right.
Now, Kima, you couldn't go in because they drop you off a mile out.
Oh,
And you swim
that's
straight
right.
in. So there was a lot of points where when I was swimming, and depending on where I was in my stroke, there was 3 or 4 strokes, if not more. I didn't even see the land.
Sure.
Because every time you go up, it's like there's a swell right here on top of your head, and then
Yeah.
you go back. So
Well, I was talking. Michelle was asking me last night. Can you use the kickboard in triathlon?
negative.
I know they have swim legal snorkels.
Triathlon training you
Yeah.
can, but not triathlon.
Yeah, I was like, man, if we can
And
use
the snor-
kickboards,
you could wear
everybody
the
can use
swim it.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
swim
Swim
it.
it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Very nice. Of course, the next topic, of course, we all love this. And like I said, I've seen one woman happen to her, but nipple bleeding. There's a way to keep it from happening. Obviously, you can put Band-Aids on you.
You can, as long as you bring them with you.
Don't forget them.
Don't forget them.
Even
Maybe
if it did-
Vaseline on the nipple. Maybe will that work?
Vaseline does.
Okay.
So there is a product called
Is it Body Glide?
Body Glide.
Yeah.
Body Glide is a non-petroleum
Okay.
lubricant that actually you can use on nipples, underarms, the chest.
Oh, yeah,
use it
with the
everywhere for the
band,
sports bra,
yeah.
the bands.
Yeah.
It is probably the best. Other thing with your petroleum based stuff is it can stain your
gear.
your clothes, and it can also it can affect the you get the spots, and it'll affect the moisture wicking properties of your performance gear.
Oh, okay.
So Body Glide is really good. There's nip guards. It was funny. We talked about this.
I was about to get you.
March.
I was about to get you.
In March, we talked about this, and I'm proud. I don't bust nipples anymore. I mean, I'm all about Body Gliding up really good. I tend to chafe, so I wear half tights when I race now, and I ran the Rock and Roll Dallas half marathon, and we did as part of me and the young lady I coach up in Dallas. We did as part of a 21-mile run, and we got up. And we did, we met and we ran like 6 miles before. Then we did the half marathon, then a couple mile, we did a few mile, 2 or 3 mile cool down. I get back to the hotel room and I start unpacking my stuff, and I had this red spot. I busted a nipple, and everyone was calling me a rookie on social media. You know better than that. And it would just, maybe I just put enough on. But
That was cold temperatures
it was
that
a
day.
very, very cold day.
Yeah.
It was very, very cold, and it was dry. When you tend to
Yep.
be colder and drier, your perspiration will evaporate quicker, and you'll have the salt will be left on your shirts, on your body, and that will tend to chafe a little bit easier.
And it hurts.
So yeah,
I tend to, in the Ironman world, I go from, you go from the bike to the run. Usually I'll change the shorts. So I'll get out of the biking gear, or they're tri-shorts, so I
right.
could swim in them, but then I throw on the running shorts because I want to be free.
I've noticed
but
in your
I have
pictures how you have running shorts on. I'm like,
I do,
how
but
she run around transition half
Oh,
no,
yeah,
no,
drop
they
my
get- yeah,
the
'cause-
tents. You just
Oh,
for
the
an
tent-
Ironman.
that's
For
right.
an
Yeah, yeah.
Ironman,
Ironman,
you
they got
could
women
take
only
them all.
tents.
Yeah,
if
that's
you're a guy,
right.
even if you're a medical doctor, you're not
So-
getting in those tents.
So yeah, I dropped the shorts and I put the running shorts
Yeah.
on, and I was like, "Hey, I need some Vaseline." They come over and slap it on, and
Slather you on, huh? Ready
Yep.
to roll.
but it
Very nice.
it was dry, but it wasn't
Yeah.
too crazy warm. So
Yeah, because when we got off, we did a tough spin yesterday with Don Lasoli, and then we got off, went straight to the treadmills, and we were on there about 15 minutes. And Michelle goes, "I got to get out of this diaper." She goes, "This thing is,
Yeah.
I got to get out of this diaper." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But when you're doing triathlons, sprint triathlons, you don't have that luxury.
no, I'll just
you're
wear
in it.
I'll wear a bikini.
Yeah, but you're genuine.
She busts out the bikini. Yeah, I know. That's what everybody says. But it's gender line.
Stop
like
it.
like
No.
Gary Mack and
Yeah.
I, we can't sport the bikini
No.
after we get out of the swim.
Well,
There's no way.
I
You
could.
could.
Well, you could, 6-pack guy.
Well, it's funny you say that. Completely off topic. Back in the early '90s, when duathlon
Yes.
was called biathlon, and
Yep.
the real biathlon sport got angry, so you can't use our name anyway.
Right.
The male triathletes were coming out of the water
In their
for
bikini
sprints,
bottoms.
the bikini bottoms on, and going right to the bike
Yep.
and right to the run. What was funny was two things. Kenny Souza, who did not do triathlons because he could, quote, not get out of the water for the women with the floaties.
They could not.
He's rockfish. That was his nickname. He
Yep.
couldn't swim. He would do. He would still wear the
Speedo.
The Speedo. And there was a.
Yeah, but
there
Kenny
was-
Souza could pull the
he
Speedo
could.
off in a duathlon.
There was a moment. There was about a 6 to 8 month moment in distance running where guys were wearing bikinis
Oh,
in road
no.
races.
Yeah,
That
I remember
didn't
that.
go very long.
I remember that.
Didn't go very long. Yeah, I remember the first time I lined up for a half marathon in San Diego. I'm like, what?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
There's a guy still in, I can't remember, Sultan or what. He always comes in like top
Oh,
12.
Ferris.
Yeah,
Ferris
he
Sultan.
still busts out the
He does.
bikinis. And
It's funny. You talk. Souza could blonde hair, blue eyes, long mane.
Yeah,
Long
I do
mane,
remember
yeah.
that.
Had
I do
the
remember
lightning
that.
bolt
I've seen that
tattoo
dude
his
on the
thigh.
picture, yeah.
He was not. If you ask anyone right now, he was the best
Yeah.
in the world. Right? No,
Yeah.
he wasn't. He was number 4 in the nation.
Right.
No. He had the PR machine, is what he had.
did. He-
No, I did the duathlon nationals with him in New Orleans, and he lined up and actually put his bike next to me, and I was like, first of all, I looked over and I was like, holy crap, that's Kenny Souza. Secondly, I was like, can you sign my bike?
It was funny.
I've got a Sharpie.
I had a Sharpie.
A really good friend of mine, Mike Scannell, and his friend Jeff Devlin, and their friend Fred Clevin were always beating Kenny in duathlon.
No, Greg Bell
But
used to
but-
have his number.
But
Yeah.
they were blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yep.
With that Southern California boy.
Yep.
Yeah, but Greg Bell again. He was the man. I mean, I remember when
Yes.
Greg would show up
Oh,
at the Zoo 2 run or something. You're like, oh man, who's running for second? Because
Everybody
Greg
just
was
go
that
home.
guy.
Yeah.
Even now, him being him doing what he does, he can still rip your legs off on the bike and
He
the
can.
swim and everything.
Yeah.
He's just that
He
incredible of
can't
an
run.
athlete.
I don't think he runs anymore.
He's got
Right?
issues.
He's got knee issues.
Yeah, he's got knee issues. But that's
A lot of guys from that era have knee issues, foot issues. One of my friends, Mike Scannell, he's now coaches the top high school, coaches Grant Fisher, top high school boy miler in the nation right now. He has had his metatarsals worked on so many times over the years.
Wow.
He gets wires put in them because he's
Oh, my gosh.
he fractured the capsule and had the bone completely dislocate. And these are guys that were 130 miles a week. And
well, that's what we talk about
Wow.
the technology of shoes today versus 80s, like the Air Pegasus and all that stuff back in the day, because it's come such a long way. But then again, you get these shoes, and I don't want to say anything about Newtons. I'm just saying they're new on the block, sort of. Michelle loves those. She won't run in anything else. She loves the Newtons. It's the only shoe she's running that's never given her blisters. She did a marathon in them. Watch, here comes Gary. Gary's turning. But look at Michelle's watching him over there. But the thing is about it is technology in shoes today, if you're an old runner, like you said, the guys from that era, a lot of them can't run. A lot of them, you see them when they're walking around at the meets and whatever. They have those troubles, those knees, those hips and everything. Whereas today, the young athletes like you two, you won't have those problems. Look at Jen. Jen's like, what? But I'm just saying, it's the technology, and even in socks. So we're going to get into that. Socks and shoes for heat running, vice winter running.
Are we done talking about nipples, though?
Yeah, we're done talking about
Oh, okay.
that. I know it's your favorite subject.
One thing I want to say about, not about nipples, but about running is that there are shoes out there that will not help you run. you need to learn how to run.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So let me just say that. So
And first, I have to put this out. But when we're going to get into the shoe topic for running, is the Vibram 5s are probably the best shoes ever made.
shut up.
For boating and going to a water park.
And looking cool.
Going river.
Right.
Going,
Maybe.
No, not
Maybe.
even
That's why I threw the
that.
maybe in there. Yeah.
Going tubing. Because, Gary, I've had this topic I've never seen in all the marathons I've announced, all the distance races and everything else. I've never seen anybody finish with those on their feet.
I have, and there's actually a guy that won
I've
a
seen trail
marathon, like
runners.
a 236, but he was a 225 marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen them carrying them across the
Yes,
finish
I've seen
line.
them across the
I've seen them walking in their shoes. I mean, their bare feet. And I'm
saw
like, what
s-
happened to your shoes? Oh, no, I threw them away at mile 8.
I saw a guy doing prickly pear at the 50K.
Yeah, there's
In
you'll
run.
still see
Running.
folks running in them, not nearly as much
Agreed.
As used to be.
as there used to be. And
Right.
look, and it all came from Born to Run, which
Yep.
is a great pseudo fact, partially fiction, a lot of bloviation book.
Here we go.
And the Tullamara Indians part of the story was true.
Right.
The part about shoe companies, wanting runners to be injured was not true. But what it did do is it did open up people's eyes, and it swung the pendulum way to the minimalist. And now it's kind of we've kind of swung to let's get out of the high 16 millimeter drop and just get athletes back into look. You see me walk around. I have a pair of Brooks released a Heritage Classic line, and they released some shoes that were that they had in the late 70s, early 80s. The Vantage, the Villanova, and it's the same shoe. It's the exact same shoe, and I had a pair of the Vantages, the first pair of shoes I ever owned, first pair of real running shoes I ever owned, and they're probably a 4 millimeter drop. And they were a really good shoe, and they still feel good. When I got them out of the box, I had this little 14-year-old kid inside me tapping to come out, going, "We'll put these back in the run now."
Let's go right. Let's go right.
But shoes, just like nutrition,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
like approach to how we're going to get our athletes, to a point. It's all the pendulum swings back and forth, and hopefully we all get smarter about it. I think I like the fact that you get running shoes that are a little more cushion, but not so much, not so much lift in the
Height.
heels.
Right. Now, when do you? I mean, as a triathlon, it's a whole different realm because a lot of folks, especially in your two era or realm, is you're looking for the racing flat. You're looking for the one to get you there faster. Or are you looking
Not
for
Ironmans or halves.
Yeah, because you're going to be out there for a couple hours.
I mean, I do the Saucony Cavernas.
That's
I
when I
love
run
them.
in. Love those things.
them.
Great shoe.
I love them.
Love
One
them.
of probably the first real minimalist shoe that came out. It was an 8 millimeter drop. I remember the first time I saw a Cleveland Marathon.
Now, let's talk about that real
4
quick,
years
Gary,
ago.
before you continue on. Michelle had this question the other day because, like I said, she's in Newton's, and she won a pair of shoes from her local running store, and she's like, wow, these are totally different because she's used to the Newtons. So they give her these Altas.
Oh, the ultras.
Ultras.
Another good
Yeah.
show.
And she's
yes.
like, wow, these are totally different. So she's worked out on them a couple of times, and she's like, yeah, this feels a little different because it's a totally different shoe.
It's flat.
So when you're talking
Chris uses them.
when you're talking negative and all that stuff, what does that mean?
So you have the heel, the difference between where the heel is on the back of the shoe and the angle that comes down to the forefoot of the shoe. There's a angle of a difference of 8 millimeters or 4 millimeters
Okay.
or what have you. So it's the difference between the front and the
back.
rear cushioning. It's the best way to do it. It's
Right.
kind of a wedge.
Right.
It's kind of a wedge. What I like about the
Ulta.
Ultras.
they keep let the feet.
The
Yes,
shoe box
they
is
do.
real wide.
Yeah,
Yep.
the shoe box is
Hey,
really,
Michelle,
really
can you go
wide.
get your shoes?
And they look funny.
Actually, I
funny,
didn't
but
wear mine today. I have them.
I've yet to have somebody. I've yet to have someone come to show me that, buy that shoe, wear that shoe, and tell me they don't love it.
Yeah.
It is, and for the record, I'm sponsored by Brooks. I've been
Right.
with Brooks since 1994. I never wear another shoe. I've heard very, very good
Yeah.
things about it.
Chris wore that in Ironman Coeur d'Alene. The Ulta.
See, there's a-
The ultra. Oh, did
Ulta.
There's the big difference in these shoes because obviously she's run the marathon in the Newtons, but she hasn't
really? Oh, yeah.
done
These
anything
are-
in the Altas yet.
That's a good shoe.
So these are zero drops with the. I don't know what
zero
the.
drop.
It's just got a lot of cushion on them.
Yeah.
I guess you would
Yep.
say.
And that's where the pendulum
That'd be a good
went
long
to.
distance, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's where the pendulum went to now. It went from Vibram. Well, actually, the first thing was the Kinvara type shoe. Then it went to Vibrams and the New Balance Minimus and the
Right.
and those shoes. And now we've gotten back to maximalist, where we're still at a 4 to 8 to 0 drop in the shoe, but enough cushion that you're not pounding your metatarsals into submission.
Yeah.
Because we've always known it. We've been doing this long enough, and obviously you guys are our coaches and everything. And I just play one on TV after I sleep at a Holiday Inn Express. But the thing is about it is
I thought that was you.
that was me. Each shoe will, it will go on. We can go on to gear and cycling gear and all this other stuff. But each shoe will treat each runner differently. And is that because of foot placement? Is that because of how your strike is? I mean, because I can run in Asics all day long. I can run in Brooks all day long. But I couldn't walk from here to my garage with Nikes without feeling pain. And that's just because of my whole body and everything.
I think a lot of it has to do with the last of the shoe. There's so many different things that go into the shoe. There's this, for me, Mizuno tends to be a little too firm for me.
Yeah.
Adidas tends to be a little too narrow for me. Saucony Brooks fit well on my foot. Doesn't mean that the shoes that I can't wear aren't a quality shoe. Obviously, they are. You have to find the shoe, find the shoe, the brand that works for you, and stick with it.
Yeah.
But it will work different for everyone based on the shape of the foot.
Right.
So,
Yeah, because you really we always preach this. You really don't go to expos. Don't go to Ironman Expo. Don't go to Rock and Roll Marathon Expo. Don't whatever marathon you go to, Marine Corps. Don't go to the expo and go, oh, I read about this shoe. I'm gonna buy this and wear it tomorrow.
And run it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bad
don't
idea.
do that. Go to a qualified shoe or go to a local running store or shoe
Local,
or a place.
local.
Support local folks. You can go to these national chains all day long. Yes, they're cheaper and everything, but guess what? Their money goes home. It doesn't stay here local. So always support local. Go to the local store, sit with a qualified person, and say, this is my background. This is what I'm running in. This is what my future in running entails. And they will get you in the proper gear. Because what you may have been running in for years and years, like me, Asics, that shoe may not be perfect for me anymore. It's just one of those things.
And I think
but everybody's differently.
And I think a lot of people, will ask coaches, "Hey, coach, what shoe do you run in?" And then you say, but it's not necessarily good for them. So it's like we as coaches, we can tell you what we eat, what we drink, what we use on nutrition, what we wear, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be good for you guys.
Correct.
So that's something you just need to be mindful
I
of.
agree with what she said. I'm just going to agree with everything she said. But she's right. I've had kids come up and they're like, Coach, what do I need to use for cross country shoe? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, and I told them exactly what Jen said. These are great shoes. I'd stay away from this shoe just for whatever reason. But go to a local store. And I tell them which ones they need to go to and have someone look at their foot.
Yeah, because along with shoes, socks are very important.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember when Thorlo came out, they're like, oh, this guy ran a marathon in his Thorlos and everything, what she did, it was great and all that. But Thorlos are, to me, and it's just my opinion, way too much cushion.
Mm-hmm.
Way too much cushion. Whereas Michelle, she may love them. I mean, it's just my opinion.
I like feeling the ground when I run.
Yep.
And
I
so
like-
that's why I use the Kinvaras.
Like that, yep.
And because they're real thin, especially when I get them good and more in, I can really feel that strike.
Right.
The sock I use is Swiftwick. They're not cotton. They're wicking real well. And, use those cotton ones, and you guys probably, you start sweating a lot and your toes or your feet get real soft and you start blistering up.
I was
I've
about
got
to
a
say,
kid
that's where
right now with
blisters
the
came
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
And she runs in
funny.
Thorlos and I said, get rid of them.
It's funny for me. Socks really don't matter. I don't know what it is. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm like,
not.
I'll go to Costco and buy
Oh, really? Wow.
18-pack of Adidas socks, and I'll run in those. Yeah.
Wow.
I have on a pair of TJ Maxx Pumas.
Really?
I also have. I went and bought 4 or 5 packs of TJ Maxx
Michelle, go get your socks.
of Eddie Bauer's.
Yeah.
And they were so they're just a real bland, like dark and striped. And I was at Grandma's Marathon. One of the girls that I used to coach lives in Michigan now. She was there with her sister, and we spent the weekend together training and working. And she saw my pack of Eddie Bauer socks and snatched one of the colors because she just loved the color.
Yeah.
I have to have moisture wicking. I can't have cotton, but I can do. To me, I'm good with any. I can wear leggings.
Yeah.
Socks.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
Michelle wore these. Michelle wore these for the marathon, not these exact socks, but she wore this style for the marathon, and she had no problems with blistering and everything. But again, it didn't get over 30 degrees at that
Right.
marathon either.
Those are good socks. Though.
Yeah.
Those are good socks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said something. I know we asked, one of the topics was, is there a difference in shoes and
Yes.
socks for summer and winter? I don't think there's so much of a difference if you're for winter running or summer running. I really don't, unless
Agreed.
you're in the Midwest and you're running on the snow in the wintertime.
Yes.
You might want to get a pair of really good responsive trail shoes. I'm not a big fan of the Yak Tracks. So I'm really not a big fan. I know some of my friends in Michigan and Indiana, that area, they do that. I would always go to a trail shoe, defer to a trail shoe
Right.
on the snowy roads. But for socks, I tend to go with a little longer sock. I think compression socks actually come in really, really handy in the wintertime to kind of give you an extra layer for the shin. As long as you don't have any circulatory problems, even the thin socks were fine for me. But sometimes I would go to a little thicker sock to give me a little more.
Yeah, see, I
little
use
warmth.
cycling socks in running.
A little bit
I
longer.
used to. I used to as
I'm
well.
used to wearing those things 24/7, so I'm like, yeah, I'm running these things.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're really thin. You can feel every pebble or everything like that. So, and you came up with a good thing, compression socks. Is it a fad? Is it real? The compression sleeves, because I know you wear them. Is it?
I wear them
Do
for
they
recovery.
really? Yeah. Do they really help you? I mean, obviously, when you're doing a race, or you're doing a marathon or an Ironman or whatever, and you're getting on a plane afterwards,
Yes.
tremendous help. I'll give you that. I have no, and I know cyclists that do that too. They
You mean
go-
I can't walk around the expo with compression socks?
No,
on?
I'm just. Good point. Good
I
point.
don't. I was just. I'm kind of
Why don't you
poking
just stop
fun
by
at
the
you.
stick booth and let Gary roll you out with a stick, because that is the greatest product I've ever known in my life. Is the stick? I'll tell you that right now. But go ahead, Gary. Let's go on with the compression.
No, go you.
Oh, I was just going to say I use them for pre and post. I don't run in them. I just, sometimes even after the Ironman, it was actually bothering my Achilles, so I took them off. Like, it just was uncomfortable. But I can't control that. I'm not going to stop during a marathon and take off my socks if they're uncomfortable. But it's... Go ahead. It's
So compression wear in running has been around for about 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
It's gotten really big in the last 3 years.
Right.
I remember Zenza was one of the first on the market with the compression. They had the sleeves, and they gave a bunch of us from the stick group at one of the Boston expos, gave us some samples to try on. And I thought, it might be good, because we're on our feet so long, it might be good to help out with the calves. And it did. We noticed a huge difference.
Yes.
We then, gosh, we could take this topic all different directions. We then met the folks from Recovery Sock. The guy brought it over from Italy, and he gave us a bunch of samples and gave me a bunch for my runners. And what I liked about the Recovery Sock was it had graduated compression from the metatarsal all the way through the heel, the arch of the heel, the Achilles, and then up, which I think is the intent of compression, is to encourage increased blood flow returning back to the body. So I don't like sleeves, and I don't like socks that don't. They're just a tight boot, and then the graduate compression after that. So I've been wearing it. You talked about walking around an expo. There's actually a reason why you see a lot of the vendors wearing the compression socks, because we're on our feet for 8 to 10 hours.
For a
It actually
long time.
helps.
It does.
Gotcha.
But so I coached a young lady who worked at the Army Research Center in Natick, and she did a study and a paper. She's one of those Big Bang Theory smart girls. Did a
love it.
research on
Great show.
on compression,
Absolutely.
on compression wear. And what she found was there was no evidence whatsoever
What?
that, let me finish, no clinical evidence that it helped you increase performance. But it had tremendous benefit for pre and post. Now, I will wear compression wear if I'm running a half marathon or marathon after standing on my feet at an expo. I'll just wear
sure.
it because I like, but that's the only time I really wear them running. I don't really wear them that much. If I'm on my feet, I don't wear them. Now, I do a long run. I get done with the marathon. I do a 2-3 hour long run on Sunday. I come home, I jump in the shower, jump in the ice bath, go out of the ice bath, dry off, and I'll pull my compression 3/4 tights on and my compression socks on, and I'm the geeky guy that walks around and takes out the trash
In the
a white
tights.
beater and tights and compression socks. I'm that guy.
But we see them all the time at expos or 5Ks or whatever, and they're wearing, I call them the Xbox. I don't even know what the name of them are. But they wear the
CWX, 2XU,
yeah.
CP.
They wear those around the expo and everything like that. Maybe they're going to be walking around the expo for 8 to 10 hours. God, I hope not, because we've had
Right.
that subject.
Yep.
When you get to the expo, get your packet, go what you're looking for specifically, and then get the hell out of there.
Yep.
Get off your feet, because
Yeah.
you're going to be racing the next day. That is the rule of thumb. Don't walk around the expo all day on Saturday if you're going to be racing on Sunday. Please don't do it. I mean, we love you being at the expo. Go buy the stick, but get off your feet. You've got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it also is it's a fashion sense as well.
Yes.
Well, hell, I got
For
110%. They sent me a compression socks and all that ice sleeves and everything.
Great
110%. I love those things. However, when I'm announcing, I cannot stand those things. They just feel like they're just
Yeah.
convulsing me. I don't know. Like an anaconda's around my legs or something. But laying around, recuperating the day after doing. I mean, and I'm not running, but obviously I'm on my feet for 8 to 10 hours announcing. Those things are awesome. Now in triathlon, how does that work? Because I've seen people doing the tiny Texan and all that, or tall Texan, and they come out of the water, pull off their wetsuits, and they got compression sleeves on.
It means that the guys and girls that are sponsored by CEP and 2XU and CWX, their marketing is working. That's exactly what it means.
It's big
That's a
money.
pretty good point.
That's a
It's
good
what
point.
It means that when you see Joe Jogger, Weekend Warrior, someone who's doing the work, who's a top age grouper or not a top age grouper, it means that the marketing is working, which is good. That's what
It's big money.
That's
big
why
money.
people are getting. That's why people are getting sponsored.
It's big money. I went and bought new run stuff last night, and I am not a fan of Nike. I'll put that on the record right now. I despise Nike, and of course, if a race organization gives me Nike to wear as I announce for their race, I won't have a problem with that. But I will not run in Nike due to doping issues with them, because they support dopers. I'll go ahead and throw down the record. That's my opinion, not the three coaches. That's just my opinion. However, and Gary's already writing notes down over there. But my thing is we were at shopping last night, and Nike shorts were like $45, where Adidas and Asics were like $30. I'm going, I know it's by the same manufacturer in Taiwan. They're throwing different labels on there, and it's just like, and Michelle's like, what about these? No, I don't like running in those. It's a personal preference kind of thing. So, obviously your shoes, your socks, everything you wear. Some folks run in visors. Some folks
Hats.
Some folks
Trucker hat.
Trucker.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, if you're
I
gender
noticed
line,
that.
you run
I
a
noticed
trucker
that picture
hat.
you had on Facebook. I was like, really? Should we have the marathon and Ironman in a trucker hat?
And aviators.
BAM.
Awesome.
Yep.
That is tough.
And
That is
they
tough.
were
She's
Rudy
throwback.
Project aviators, so like it was nice because I was able to hook them around my ears and
Right.
didn't. Yeah.
Was it
Didn't
the
have
old
any
school
problem.
Ray Bans with the hooks on the ears? Is that what you?
No,
Oh.
I do have Ray
Old
Bans,
school
but,
Ray-Bans.
yeah.
But no, it's one of those things, folks. Go to your personal preferences.
Style and man.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give out the entries right now. If someone can tell me what all three websites are of the coaches, not you, Gary. You're not eligible to play. If you can text that to me at 210-374-0140 is the text. If you can text me all three websites of the coaches, you will win. You'll win
One of them.
One of them,
Right.
your preference. And if three people will text me those websites, each of you will get a preference. First choice, first serve, I guess.
They're going to put their name on the text.
They
too,
got
so
to put
you
the
know
name.
who
Yeah,
it
because
is,
I'll get
yeah.
numbered. I'll be like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're programmed to my phone, it'd be something different. Let's go into a quick commercial break. It's going to be like 30, maybe a minute. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about trail etiquette versus swim etiquette versus cycling etiquette. Because some people, we'll get into it. We'll be right back. Glimmer Gear. Increase your visibility. Be seen by motorists up to a quarter mile away. LED-equipped, state-of-the-art sports apparel designed to offer you comfort and safety while you exercise, train, and explore the outdoors. Visit Glimmer Gear today. Enter the promo code ISpeakForYou and get 25% off. That's glimmergear.com or give them a call at 619-299-GEAR.
Were you aware? Texas has a law that commercial vehicles, when passing a road user such as a cyclist, runner, or walker, must obey a 6 feet distance between said vehicle and the road user. Texas also has a law that all vehicles, when passing a road user, must obey a 3 feet distance. Can you see me now? 3 feet, 6 feet. It's the law.
Thursdays, Races and Events is presented by eDragonTees.com, the premier company for your t-shirts, your banners, hats, flyers, embroidery, web design, and yes, even your koozies for your beverages. Online at eDragonTees.com. That's eDragon, TEES.com.
Have yourself a seat, my dear. You belong with me. Grab on what you can. My hand draws weary. Faster than what you see. You got a while for misery.
Yeah, it's crap. You got shot down.
They don't.
Oh,
They speculate.
when I came back, when I was driving down, it said it did say shot down, so I don't know.
Here we go.
Russia.
The mics are on. Yeah, speculate about
be
that.
quiet.
Shot down. If you ever going to do national news and the weather at this time in San Antonio.
It's like
Yeah.
Hot.
ESPN, just assuming what LeBron's going to do. Nobody knew
Oh,
other
no.
than LeBron.
I'm not going to get into that type of show, but Fox News has the greatest interviewing panel ever. When there's a young kid, when they had the school shootings, go on a different topic right now. School shootings, and the anchor for Fox News was sitting on and she's like, "Oh, and I think little Johnny's sad right now." No, little Johnny was holding his friend when he was dying. What do you think he's freaking feeling right now, dumbass? I mean, come on.
If it bleeds.
You were such a no. There's no
If it-
bleeping.
if
This is
it
internet.
bleed- No, if it bleeds,
Oh.
it leaves.
Please, yep.
I know, but sit there, be real. Oh yeah, little Johnny's
Trail etiquette.
upset. Yeah, trail etiquette. Let's go to road etiquette first, then we'll go to trail etiquette. Road etiquette, and as you heard,
Road bike
yes,
or
there's-
road running?
let's go both.
Okay.
Let's start
Because
with cycling.
let's start with cycling because there is a 3-foot law and there's a 6-foot law. However, folks, and this is just me, my pet peeve, my observation, my opinion. If there's a 4-foot shoulder, and yes, I know the garbage is there, and there's dead dogs and cats and raccoons and lions and tigers and bears and everything. Don't look at me, Gary. And in there. Ride on the shoulder. Get out of the street. And I've been riding since 1979. I mean, I've been hit once, but that wasn't my fault. That was some drunk redneck in Alabama. He was a redneck.
Because he was in Alabama.
Oh, he was a redneck. These boys are redneck. It was Doug Dynasty's brother-in-law or something. I don't know. But the thing is about it is yes, if there's a shoulder, and Jen's going to go into the law. She just did when we're off air. But if there's a shoulder,
The cop did. Not the coach.
yeah. Anyway, if there's a shoulder, use a shoulder. That's my opinion. When I was running down 1604 Access Road, I ran toward traffic. Never run with your back toward traffic. I know Gary will get into that. Always run toward traffic. Because if that person's texting, you'll see that car veering.
Yes.
That's true.
If that person's drunk, you'll see that car veering. If they're not paying attention, you'll see that car veering. Never run with your back toward traffic. I don't care where you are. Alma Heights, it doesn't matter.
But bike with traffic.
Bike with traffic. Thank you. Coaches, your turn. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Gary.
Well, I don't ride a bike, so I'll let the cyclist talk about their bike.
I mean, I think I just assume that it's everything that I do in the car, I do on the bike.
Yeah.
So if I have to turn right, I'm going to raise my hand. Go back to the basics of driver education.
Right.
And that's sort of how I look at cycling. I observe the roads and all that stuff. I had friends in Boulder saying that people are getting hit so often because of the Ironman Boulder coming up that the cops were busting people for not clicking out and stopping at a stop sign.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's something that people need to do a better job here in San Antonio. They see a stop sign and they just sort of do a rolling stop. No, stop. That 3-5 seconds of you sitting at the stop sign are not going to hurt you. But
Well, if you planned your route too, there's going to be
Yes.
stop signs. So it depends on your training block too. You're not going to do a threshold ride, with a bunch of stop signs.
Right.
So if you're out doing
Right.
a recovery ride or take the few seconds. And it is very frustrating because we're out here trying to set some of us cyclists are trying to set
Yes.
a good example.
I like how you put that.
And you got to take the time and set.
But that's
the
where, Gary, hold on real quick. That's where Michelle and I rode from McAllister Park on the trail all the way to Fort Sam. It was a great ride. couple hours long, and we rode back on the trail and everything. We did trail etiquette. Whereas we were on the right, make sure that if we went by someone, we said on your left, that kind of thing. But can you really, and Gary, this could go right into you, can you really get training on riding the trails?
Bike Texas does offer some type of, you're talking about like cycling safety type
No,
deal?
I'm talking about getting in training. Like you're training for half Ironman, you're training for
I got
this.
you.
Can you really get training on these trails when you have families and walkers and and all that stuff on there?
Recovery rides only.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of places in San Antonio area that you can go out and just go full bore without running into traffic somewhere.
Now, I had an athlete ride a lot on those trails, and he was doing the Kona half, and I'm like,
oh, wow.
You got to get out on the road.
We see, my group will meet at the Drury Inn. They're off 1604.
Oh, yeah.
And I-10, and we'll run that trail. We'll go all the way down to mainland and back, or we'll go, OP and back. And it's always, we always get cyclists just come flying by us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we never run as part of running etiquette on the trail. We never run 4 or 5 abreast. We always go 2 abreast. We actually run on the right side of the trail,
right,
with the flow of traffic when we're running. Only because I think it's
yes.
easier for them.
Yeah, but then you get these cyclists that think they're Lance Armstrong training for the Tour de France, and they're doing 30 miles an hour.
They're just flying, and they don't, they don't announce themselves till they're right behind you.
Yeah.
And there's no, and we just don't move. I told my folks, we just don't assume you need to go left or right. They got to go around you because we. I've seen a couple very, very close calls. I've seen a couple, 2 cyclists were coming under Hausman and had to lock it up because there was a family riding with 3 kids, and they come around and they just were flying,
And they pass on the curves, which frustrates me.
Yeah.
The cyclists on the Greenway, where he's talking about the Drury, they'll come around the curves, and you can't see. If you're sighting and you're hauling butt, you're like you said, you're not going to be able to stop in time.
I've always wondered why they don't do a speed limit out there.
They need to
faster than 12 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
They do need to implement some laws on
That's
that
a good
green.
idea.
Absolutely.
I was telling Michelle last week when we were doing that ride in California. There's a similar path that goes for 30 miles. I mean, they made a path that you can literally do 30 mile one way, turn around, come back. Great training ride, but there's gonna be walkers out there. There's gonna be runners out there. So you need to keep it in check. And that's where a lot of cyclists out there are like, oh yeah, I'm wearing the CSC gear or whatever. I'm going to go fast as I can on this trail. That's not the place to go.
No.
If you want to go fast, go down.
Go to Castroville.
Go to Castroville. Jimmy's.
That's right, Jimmy's. August
trial.
9th. Go to BrittonBikes.com for more information. That's exactly right. But no, again, once you get 3 coaches in here and we can talk all day, there's so many topics. Obviously, they've got athletes and everything. We're going to do a quick round robin, and then we're going to shut it down for the day. But Gary, when you get an athlete, what is their number one question? And y'all put this in your head. What is their number one question to you when they're coming to you for advice as a coach?
Can I run X? Can I qualify for Boston? Can I get faster? That's always the question. They want to know right up front. The goals that I'm setting for myself that I want to do, can I get there? And that's my responsibility to give them the answer, and if they hire me, to provide the right program and train to get them there.
Jen?
I think the same. Mostly, I want to do this Ironman or half Ironman. I see that a lot. And then some have asked me, do you think I can qualify for Kona? And I've had to give a couple people some tough love. Because I'm like, it's getting harder and harder, and I'm having a hard time getting there, and it's tough. Like, you have to put the work in, and it's just like Boston. It's just like everything else, and Kona is getting harder and harder, and it's just insane because there's more people doing the sport, which is phenomenal, but there still is the same amount of entries in Kona. They cannot expand it because of where they are on that.
So it gets more competitive.
So it's more competitive. And I was expecting Coeur d'Alene. I was hoping like 11:15. And if I would have done that day, I didn't do the wins and stuff like that, but that would have placed me in 5th.
Right.
5th.
Right.
And it only rolled down to 2.
Wow.
2 in my age group.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So-
how-
And that's Coeur d'Alene. Wow.
It didn't have it. It wasn't that way it used to be. You know what I
No,
mean?
not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even Chris, my husband, he was 10th in the age group, and it rolled down to 5.
That's
So,
amazing.
anyways,
Crazy.
it's so you have to give them that tough love from the start, because if, like we talked about in the beginning, if you don't, then they'll just have this false hope. But
Right.
people are like, well, how long is it going to take me to get to Kona? How hard do you want to work? That's the question.
Yeah, because you have to work. I mean, how many hours are you putting into Kona 2015? I mean, seriously, how many hours are you
Probably 14 to 16.
right now?
Yeah.
But
But right now, no,
yeah.
I'm still recovering.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying.
That's why she's so happy.
I'm just saying, once you
Not so
get
grumpy.
once you get that bid, you're not going to go there.
Oh, right.
Obviously, like a Boston runner right here, Boston Marathon runner multiple times, and he's trained people for Boston. You're not going to get to Boston and go, oh, okay, yeah, I just want the
I'm
bid.
here.
I
Yeah.
want- yeah.
No.
You're going to want to go and show.
Mm, yeah.
No.
Same thing for Boston. No,
No.
Boston's like you. Yeah.
Boston,
But that-
there's two waves in Boston that can PR.
Right.
First 2 waves or first 2 corrals.
Oh,
first
2
wave.
waves. Oh.
First 2 corrals, you're not going to PR at Boston.
Well, that's like Honolulu Marathon. Don't even think
But-
about going and running your fastest.
But my runners will go to Boston fit and
Yes.
perform well.
Right.
Yes.
But for us, it's the journey to qualify for Boston and then
Yeah.
running Boston. We go to Boston to enjoy Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say about Kona. Like, these are the top of the top.
Yeah.
Same with Boston. I mean, these are the world champions all over the world.
Right, right.
So there's going to be so many more people faster and better than me, but at least, dang it, I'm in
got
Kona.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you know you're not going to do a 16:58 either.
No.
Exactly. You're not going there. We talked about this before. You're not
Yeah.
going to be going, oh, I made it to Kona. Woo! I just do 16:58. I'm good.
She's
Yeah.
going to run a
That-
3 mile in 16:58. That's what you mean, right?
That's my mile. That's my mileage time. And I'm talking 16 hours and 58 minutes, folks, not 16 minutes. I mean, it's just one of the things. And same with you, Mac. When you have swimmers coming to you and they're like, hey, I want to do a swim practice and everything, what is their number one question to you besides, how do I put my goggles on?
That's really the main question.
Really?
How do you put my goggles on? No, I think swimmers, when they come to me, I don't think they necessarily have specific questions. I think their curiosity. You can just kind of see it in the communication in the lanes when you're talking to the athletes. Is they're curious, how are you going to make them faster? Because they don't understand the importance and the technicality of a swim stroke. Because when you go in, and you see me over the last few weeks, I'm breaking these guys down and then building them back up. And when you're going through these drills, and they're just like, oh my God, this is hard. And I'm like, yeah, and you got to swim that exact same way too. And in me on the deck, I can see the progression.
Right.
I can take first, and I've got athletes in there, they've done half Ironmans, they've completed half Ironman events. But then when you go in, and I think they kind of go in, well, I've done a half Ironman, and it's like, that's great. But how was your swim? And that's my goal is, you don't feel like crap coming out of the water. Feel like Superman and ready to get on that bike and go and having that confidence. So, it's really tough to me to put a specific question to it. I think it's more of a curiosity of, and then when I'm done with them over the 4 weeks, really working on technique for 4 weeks, or even throw them into even doing intervals of any type, is they understand, wow, this really is, I really wasn't as good as I thought I was.
Right.
That's kind of a mean thing to say, but it's true.
Well, that's where Gary, has elite runners that have already done state or whatever. They come to him. They go, well, I've already run a 401 mile. What can you do for me? And Gary goes, I'll make you better. May not make you necessarily faster, but I'll make you consistent at that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, come back to the mentality of it, is that they may be able to run a 401, but then what's their pain threshold? What's their mentality when it comes into it? If you can take someone and increase that pain threshold and push them beyond that, they'll bust that 401. And you agree or disagree, but that's an element to it. I'm sure there's some fitness too, maybe a little more work on techniques, a little better base or something like that to increase those thresholds. But I mean, a lot of it's mental. You've got kids.
Yeah.
I'll be out there running with my kids, and they're like, oh my gosh, we're on mile 9, and this, some of my freshmen, they're, it's the furthest they've ever ran. And then, I talk them through it. I'm like, do this, work on this. And before you know it, these kids are, you can just see them and feel them just speeding up. And they're doing things, it's all up here.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is amazing.
Yep.
I
Totally
love
agree.
this stuff. So I really get me talking. I
Yeah.
can't shut up. Can we give her a minute? Can we get one? I want to say, vote for Ginger Lawn for the cover of
thank
Running
you.
Magazine. So check her out on Facebook.
Do you have
Get
any
that.
of
Can
the
I do
athletes
that?
that hopped on there? Runner's World?
I have Kitty Martin, a friend of mine. Kitty Martin is a cancer survivor. And,
Is he the one that has like 6,000 votes?
yeah.
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 Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
insane.
He was one of my childhood idols, and I know him, and I saw that, and I voted for you, and I
Thank
voted
ya.
for Michelle Gonzalez, a former fourth ID New York City running mama.
Oh, I've heard
voted
of
for
her.
as well, because she, we were in the 400 together. And,
Well-
and then I saw Kenny, like, oh man, we got to do this.
Yeah.
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 Well, you're both Generation UCAN athletes, so
Yes, we are.
you got to keep the votes in house.
I voted for everybody.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Could you talk about Coeur d'Alene real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't care.
I didn't know if we were on a time limit.
Hey,
I didn't know if you're like.
I own the station.
vying
Ain't
for
like
the-
they're going to shut me down.
I mean, I didn't know if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that what was your experience like? How did you push through that? Because I think you said that last
Yes.
half mile or so.
That last, let's see, windy day, so 25 miles gust wind on that bike. So, I'm going uphill, 6%.
Well, hold on. That was even in the water, though.
That was in the water, yes. Yeah, the water was slapping my face, I think, every time I got up to breathe, and it got to a point. I got to buoy 2, and I panicked. I really did. I looked up, and I was like,
Couldn't see land?
I couldn't, I saw the land, but I just sort of freaked out. I couldn't breathe. I don't know if it was the cold water because it was 64.
Right.
And so just jumping in, like you're all pumped up, you go into like, you probably start going in anaerobic into that. And then all of a sudden I stopped to just sort of rest, and I looked up, I'm like, oh gosh, and I couldn't breathe. I wanted to take my wetsuit off. I wanted to go over to a boat
Right.
and just be like, red flag, I'm done.
Right,
and
right.
I was like, okay, you need to HTFU. And so I did. I turned off the mind, and I put in earplugs because I sort of have that dizziness sometimes with cold water. And I just I'm like, here you go, fishies. Sorry, gotta get rid of it. And then it was fine. But I just, I called my blog for my swimming, Ironman Coeur d'Alene or HTFU.
Right.
So, yeah. So came out.
There's people right now going, HT.
Yeah.
Google
Right.
it.
So then transition. I was freezing. I put the arm warmers on. That took forever because I was wet. But once I got going, I was fine. 25 miles per hour gust. So you're going uphill, 6%. It's probably about a 1.5 to 2 mile up climb. So I knew I had to stay in my power. I knew where my power was. I knew my cadence. I knew all that. But then coming back, I mean, I'm at 39 miles per hour going someone down those hills with the wind behind me now.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, just like
Hold on, baby.
And there was one time I was like going I couldn't pedal anymore, and then I feel that wind. I'm like, oh God,
Right.
God, help me, But anyways, got off the bike, and knowing that I didn't have the swim that I wanted, knowing that I didn't have the bike that I wanted, I knew I could run, and that's always been my strength. So I got in, threw the shorts on, and I was like, okay, it's go time. And I pushed it. I told myself I was not going to walk. And I think I walked a little bit to grab the water. I did have to stop to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Number 1, not number 2. Whoop, whoop. Thank you, Generation UCAN. Yeah, and the whole time I was on Generation UCAN for my nutrition. And
How many calories? Did you cut up your calories?
So, scoop
110? 80.
110, 80 for plain.
Yep.
And then none tablets, so maybe 100. So maybe
Wow.
a total of 600-700
Wow.
calories. The whole race.
The whole race. Wow.
The whole race.
That's
And
insane.
we go into Generation UCAN all day long.
Right.
That is
Yeah.
As I'm looking
Insane.
for Fig Newtons and all that fun stuff.
It's crazy.
Well, I listened to
So-
a webcast the other day with Ben Green, and they were
yeah.
talking about that, and it blew my mind. I've never used it, but
Yeah, that's
I'm
another
on
topic.
point, yeah.
Phenomenal.
oh my goodness!
And I didn't. That's the thing. I didn't feel bloated. I didn't feel heavy. And even at mile 15, I'm like, woo, I'm feeling a little lightheaded.
Yeah.
But I knew at 16 I was going to grab my
Right.
UCAN and grabbed it. And then even going up the hill, like there's this little gap, like mile 21 to 24, or I don't even think that there's this hill. And I started at one point. I stopped and I walked. I'm like, "Ouch, that makes it worse." So I'm like, "You got to shuffle." Yeah. So I ran up it, and on the way home, still felt a little woozy. I was like, "Okay, you got to take one more Generation UCAN." I get to mile 24, And I was like, okay, looking at my watch, if I could let's try to knock out 8-minute miles. And so I think the last two it actually clocked me at 8:15s.
Wow.
Very nice.
And then I get to 25, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of Coke, just that little bit of sugar
some
we've
sugar.
talked
We
about.
talked about it,
And you
yep.
talk about with UCAN, you have to, they even tell you just at the end, you might need a little bit of sugar just to boost that last minute. So I turn left on Sherman Avenue, and that's like the big, and they're like, it's just down the corner. And I looked up, I'm like,
I can't
no, it isn't. That is like a half mile down there.
Don't you love it when they say you're almost there and you're like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not almost
You're
there.
like, so I run, and what I did is I turned the brain off. I did not hear anybody. All I heard was my breathing. And it was
Wow.
the best feeling in the world.
Oh, it's awesome.
And so I'm running, and I see the mat. I hear Mike Riley, who's a very well-known announcer, and I jump up because I was so excited, and my legs buckled. They
Really?
absolutely. And I hear Mike Riley like, hold on, hold on,
Yeah.
hold on. And I'm trying to cross the finish line, straightening up, but I couldn't. I was hunched over,
Yeah.
and I was like, yay! And a friend of mine caught me that I've known, and I walked up, and the med tent people are like, hey, are you okay? When was the last time you peed? I'm like, I couldn't remember.
Last week.
Yeah. So
Like,
got my
in-
finisher picture. I walked in, med tent. Yeah, med tent. And I was fine for a while until I lost the chicken broth that they gave me, and 3 liters of IV later. There it was. Yeah. It was good recovery, right? But it was a great race. I mean, it really taught me how to push myself beyond my limits. And that run taught me a lot.
Yeah, because you learned about yourself during the most adverse races. I mean,
Yeah.
Tiffany Moret
It
was
was
in,
a
and
tough-
she was like, oh my God, I think it was Brazil or Ironman or something like that. She goes, it was the worst I've ever felt. And she goes, I don't know how many times I told you I was going to quit. I was going to quit. I was going to quit. But like
Yeah.
you, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
If I keep moving forward, I'll be fine.
Yeah. And I think, I was totally off of my goals, totally off. But then it was neat because, like, you just had to retrain your thoughts. Like, okay, I didn't have the swim I wanted. I didn't have the bike I wanted, but I was really happy with my run. And, 4:09 is not that fast for...
Okay, wait a minute.
Like, when I compare Gary,
Wait a
Gary's
minute.
athletes.
Yeah, he's
but-
going, you walked
She
it?
did a 4:09 marathon at the end of an Ironman.
That's awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks.
I
So,
haven't
You're
even
never gonna see me pish poshing someone's marathon time, half marathon ever.
We've got a marathon for Ironman and a marathon for Boston. That's 2 different
Different
marathons.
things.
yeah.
I'll just make you faster.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I really think, like, I've done a 3:30 marathon or 3:32, so I really think I could do a 3:45 after a swim and bike.
I've only done
I
that
really
on
can.
a bicycle.
I just have to put.
That's good.
That's my ultimate goal. I really think I can do that.
And you know what's going to get you there?
What's that?
Generation You Can.
That's right.
Just want to say that.
Seriously,
No, I'm serious.
I swear by it. It was
And
fantastic for me.
and folks are listening to this. Of course, we're way over time, and
Yeah.
like I said, I own the station. I don't care. But it's one of those things like you see Meb Generation You Can guy, and
yeah.
people are buying it because, like I said, the marketing machine is there. But when you see folks in everyday life, friends of yours, you see at HEB or whatever, and they're running and they're racing and they're on Generation You Can and they're doing the product. Obviously, there's something to be said about that.
I think what people don't realize about Meb being on UCAN, he was using it when they were still in trial.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
He was still was
Yeah.
using it just because he decided he was looking for something different, and he liked what he saw or his results he got from it. So there was the message was, hey, if you ever do something with it, he'd love to partner up with you guys.
Right.
So that's how Meb got involved with it. I was one of the, if not the first person in Texas to use the product. I actually told the CEO he was full of crap, and I didn't use the word crap, to his face at the running event 4 years ago, 5
Did
years
you
ago.
really?
There's no way. We use gels, and we do sports drink because we have to, because we need to replenish, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't until I ran into another guy at an expo selling UCAN in New York. I sold him a stick, and I told him I didn't buy into what they were saying. It just didn't make any sense to me. And so he gave me a bag of UCAN, like 20 pouches. And so I gave Diana Rudiman and Carl Clark I figured if anyone knows nutrition, it's the triathletes. They're way ahead of the game with nutrition. And they both came back and said, well, they both had gone out and done a bike ride completely separate. And they said, this stuff works. So I started using it, and then I contacted Byron, and we started a friendship, and I had a code. I had one of the first codes they gave out, and Byron even said, I remember when we sent you, they said they've been sponsoring my cross country camp for 4 years now, and Byron told me the other day, he said, we questioned, is this guy going to be worth it? And I think I'm probably the one of the biggest reasons why UCAN is in the local stores here in San Antonio.
And
whether it's in Sprouts, it's in
because you see it everywhere now. I mean, we're
Solars,
We Run San Antonio.
Yep.
And even I reached out to Gary last year when I started UCAN, because I was 6 weeks out from Ironman Florida. I was like, I need to change something.
Yeah.
And I just kept reading the no GI. And you helped me a ton in figuring it out. And I still was doing a little bit of solids in Florida, which I did have GI issues. No solids in Coeur d'Alene, no solids in New Orleans, and PR'd in New Orleans.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you go to Florida this year, obviously that nutrition and everything's going to be dialed in.
Oh yeah.
It's so easy to dial in because you just know what you need. I mean, they break it down. It's so simple to use. For me, for marathon, I'm planning on being out for between 250 and 305. So I'm doing 2 scoops or 2 pouches. I'm drinking it at 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes before gun time, and I drink water on the course. I always carry 1 gel with me just in case something goes wrong. In the last half hour I might need something. I don't refuel it with nothing but water on the course. That's all I do.
You use it for training nutrition too?
Oh, I do it every day.
Really? Okay.
Every
Chocolate,
day.
protein.
Yeah, because this is where we always talk about don't do anything in racing you have not you haven't done before in training because your body will just...
Yeah, but this is something. I mean, I use it for easy runs. I use it for workouts. I use it for tempo runs. I use it for long runs. I use it for absolutely everything I do now. You saw the transition. I lost 22 pounds in a little less than 2 years, and a lot of it was UCAN helping me rip the extra fat that was on my body. I was 178 pounds.
Right.
That's way too much for me. I need to be in the 145 to 150 frame at my age to be able to do the type of run I'd want to run. UCAN is just phenomenal, and the guys, the people, they're more than willing to help anyone. You could reach out to them.
They are.
An email.
They're fantastic.
These guys are Seth and Byron are the friggin' best.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm
the
actually
CEOs,
getting a box today.
I got some coming too. Yeah.
So
if
once
you need
get
to try
beyond that
something,
fat burning, I mean, is it still pulling the fat in once you get above the higher zones? Or
we all have enough fat in our
Yeah, we
system
do.
to go for a long time.
a long time. Even
Yeah.
Bob
Joe
Severhorn
Frill
talks
says
about that.
2 Ironmans back to back is
Yeah.
what they say you can do. With the
Yeah.
fat.
Yeah, you just got to train your body.
You
to
got
burn
to
the
train your
fat.
body to
And
burn the
what you
fat.
do is you learn to just be smarter about what you're eating.
Yeah.
It's been a whole eye-opening transformation for me, nutrition-wise. I do a lot more fruit. I do a lot more vegetables. I juice everything. I throw kale and berries. That's how I snack now.
Yeah.
I don't do sodas anymore. I mean, I've cut the sugar out.
Yeah.
I just want to be healthier, and it's just been
Shiner?
phenomenal. I do Shiner every once in a while. Like
wine.
every day.
I'm
Wine.
a wino too.
I'm a Shiner kind of guy.
That's the thing. Like I was afraid to take some sugar because I could tell I was getting a little wizzy.
Right.
At that point,
Doopy.
I would, if you do something, even if you take a gel,
Like even
and put it underneath your tongue, like a quarter of it underneath your tongue, because I coach a young man or work with a young man who just moved out here to San Antonio as an army dentist, and he'd do UCAN, but every once in a while to get that wooziness, you got. And he would just put a little bit under his tongue. It would help him.
I've done that in half. So I'll take the Gatorade and just swoosh it around in my mouth for about a minute, and I'll spit it right back out.
interesting.
Just you don't spike your blood glucose level.
Right.
Just get enough.
Just
to kind
get
of,
that. Yeah.
I read that from who's the female elite pro coming up? I can't
Rainey?
No, doggone it. She retired last year.
Chrissy? Wellington?
Yes. I believe so. Yeah. I read that on one of her blogs, and that she does that on her run. She'll swish it around, and I was like,
that
I'm going to try
Perform.
that, and I did it, and it helped.
Ironman Coeur d'Alene. They were offering Red Bull.
At the aid stations?
Yes, on the run.
Michelle would be sitting there with some vodka.
Now listen.
Nasty.
Brian Sell, one of our Olympians, would drink starting at about 15 kilometers, he would do 2 parts Gatorade, 1 part Red Bull. That was his. But the problem with once you introduce caffeine, you have to continue to refuel
Yeah,
the caffeine
that is
for
true.
30 minutes. Or you'll get a mental.
Michelle would be like, "Can I take this Red Bull with me for later?"
Well, that affects your carb
there-
uptake too.
there
If you
vodka
start
in
taking
this?
protein or your caffeine out, that'll
Yeah.
affect your protein and carb uptake too, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Yeah, there's so much you can talk about, folks. Again,
I know.
We were way over, and our coaches, I know they got to get to some clients and everything like that. So I really appreciate their
Actually,
time.
I can stay here. I'm good. No, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say you got
I met
permission.
all my people yesterday.
Yeah,
I'm good
you got
for the
your
week.
permission. But again, if you want to pick the coach's brain, here's what you do. You go to their websites, and we do have a winner for the entries. Of course, Michael Boker of Austin, Texas, wins one of those, and I'll call Michael in a
Nice.
little bit. Again, he first put 35-mile-an-hour trail sprint zones on there for biking when we're talking about the trails and the bikes going so fast. He's like, "Oh, it's 35-mile-an-hour plus sprint zones." And I was like, "No, not really." So, but no, I mean, obviously, cyclists calm down on the trails. There's families out there. There's kids. There's people out there moving for the first time in years that haven't moved since high school. You know, we want them to get into physically fit. We want them to get a part of our family and everything like that in physical fitness. So please give them the leeway and slow down on the trails. But again, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to the coach's websites, SanAntonioTriathlete.com, JenRulon.com, GaryBrimmer.com. You're going to get their emails, and you're going to send them 3 questions each. So next time we all get together,
Like that.
we got
Oh, there
each of them
I like
give
that.
a question. I know Gary's got the Sensitive Men's Club. He can ask those guys 3 questions, which I'd be afraid to answer or do on the air.
You should come to Sensitive Men's Club.
No, don't go to Sensitive Men's Club. I'll tell you that right now.
What is it?
Talk about
Okay,
it.
yeah.
I actually tried to get him sponsored by Shiner when we were at Shiner
That's
a couple
great.
years ago because the
That's
brewmeister
awesome.
kept bringing me beer, and I was like at 9:30 in the morning. I told Michelle, "Here's the keys. I'm already drunk.
Right.
I'm announcing the Shiner half, and I'm drunk
the Shiner
because the
guy.
brewmeister kept giving me beer. He was like, "Oh, try this one. Oh, try this one." And this is when they were
You
coming out
could
with
say
their,
no. You realize that, right?
No,
Oh, you
no,
don't? Of course you
no.
couldn't.
Come
What
on,
am I
Gary
thinking?
and I were taste testing. There's no way you say no to the brewmeister of Shiner. But Gary was there, and I was like, "Oh, you know they have a Sensitive Men's Club meeting they do every week, and they drink Shiner." And he's like, "Really?" And Gary's like, "Oh, here's what it's about." But we'll talk about that offline. But the Shiner Half Marathon, if you're looking to run that, it's sold out. The 5K sold out.
That's great.
Yeah. The only way you can run right now is if you do a charity partner and you raise $500, and then you can run. So just let you know,
Cool.
Shiner's sold out.
3 questions.
3 questions, each coach, and you can get them from your clients or whatever,
Yeah.
and say, "Hey, we're going to answer these on air," and we'll do it that way because
When's your
Everybody-
next podcast?
in 2 weeks, next week I'll be on cruise, so
Oh, rough.
I'll be in Jamaica or something. this
Well,
time next
we
week.
could go with you, and we'll just do it right off the deck of the
Right.
ship.
Off the boat.
Exactly.
That's right.
That's right. We'll do a treadmill test. We'll do stress tests on the treadmills up there on the 13th floor or 13th deck or whatever it's called. I'm retired Navy. I should know it, but hey, I don't do naval terminology anymore. But again, 3 questions each for each coach. Go to GaryBrimmer.com, JenRulon.com, and of course, SanAntonioTriathlete.com. And folks, and I know a lot of coaches, and I know there's going to be coaches out there that piss at me, but these are the folks you need to get a hold of. You want to run, you want to bike, you want to swim, you want to transition, you want core. These are the folks you need to get a hold of. And I, like I said, I was probably just pissed off some of the coaches that are friends of mine, but I've known Gary forever. Jen, I trust her with my child, and of
I'm
course,
just a hell of a guy.
and Mac, I trust you with my wife, dude. That's how much I trust you.
Right?
That's true. Yes, you can, and you can continue to do that. I see that look. You're like,
Look at Michelle. I don't trust Gary with my wife, but I'll trust you with my wife, just because. But no,
I think you could trust Jen too. I was
Yeah.
just
I would
saying.
trust-
Yeah.
All right.
yeah, I wouldn't trust my wife with Jen. But here we go. But no, the thing is, we went to, I think it was a Fort Worth Cowtown Marathon, and Gary was working the stick booth.
Is it? I know.
Gary was working the stick booth, and he's like, "Oh no, you can leave Michelle with me. I'll take care of her." I'm like, "No, Gary, that's all right." But no, if you need. We talk about the stick. We'll talk about that on the next show. But of course, Gary, what's the website for the stick? If anybody doesn't know,
Real simple. TheStick.com.
there you go, and it's sold
Free
in all the
shipping.
stores. Yeah,
Free shipping. Anywhere you're at, you go online, you purchasing the products, it's free shipping.
And one of the things about it, before we close off, and I know people are like, "Oh man, come on, I got my lunch hours over or whatever." But the stick versus rolling, what is the big difference? Because I know all of us in here roll, but what is the stick?
You get a little more control.
Yeah.
You can control It's a little more convenient. You don't got to lay on the ground. You don't got to challenge your shoulders, your core. Not that foam rolling or trigger point therapy rollers or any of that are bad. I'm a big fan of that. But with the stick, you got a little more control. You can kind of isolate and pinpoint different trigger points a little bit easier.
You can take it on the airplane with you when you're on your way back from your events. Use it in the
Actually,
car
use
on
the
the way back.
lacrosse ball a lot.
Yeah, she has
Or
one of those
golf
too.
ball.
'Cause she had plantar fasciitis when she was training for the marathon and used that. So, but again, folks,
Need to get one.
get a hold of the coaches, GaryBrimmer.com, JeremyLine.com, SanAntonioTriathlete.com. Find out what they do, how they can get you better, because there's nobody else in the world that can get you as better as these folks. I'm telling you that right now. And they're not paying me. This is not a paid endorsement or anything like
No.
that. But these are folks that I believe in, and I'll endorse them till the day I die. Go there and email them. Get 3 questions that you want answered. They'll answer them, and also we'll talk about it on the air, because this is not just for elite athletes. These are folks that are coming off the couch. These are folks going, hey, I want to do the rock and roll half in December. What do I need to do? These are the coaches to get a hold of. If Sandra Butts, obviously Mac Bernie, cross country coach, knows running as well. Specialty is swimming. If Michelle can swim like a half Ironman triathlete, anybody can swim. If they've been coached by you,
Michelle's got talent.
Michelle's a beast.
I'm gonna tell you, the first night a couple weeks ago, I've never seen a beginner get in the pool and her have the feel for the water she has. I mean, she was straight as a board without me even having to tell her to stay straight. So
Yeah.
she's got it.
And then
We'll get her there.
and then Shelby gets in the water and swims underneath it. Just she doesn't come on top. I'm
Well,
like,
we're practicing for open water swims while we're drilling. That's what's going on.
That's right. Shelby, of course, our 5-year-old, and she gets in the water last night, swims underwater, comes up for breath, goes back underwater. I'm like,
Nice.
go on the top, use your arms. No. I'm like, okay, never mind.
It's training for SeaWorld.
That's right.
That's right. And of course, I won't tell you Jen's history, but she used to be one of the trainers at SeaWorld.
I did.
Such a cool job.
Awesome.
And that's a different topic. But
That is a different
anyway, thanks, coaches, for coming
Thank
in.
you,
Folks,
thank
you.
again,
Sir.
get a hold
Thank
of
you,
them.
Mark.
And in 2 weeks, we'll do another show. And we're going to talk about what we've talked about, just recap. And then we're going to get into the questions and everything. And again, it's all you. It's your shows, your topics, your music. I speak for you. Coaches, thank you all very much
Thank
for coming
you, Mark,
in.
for having us.
Peace.
And we'll see y'all
Peace.
later.
All right.
Bam.